How you doing? It's Chris's Comments. It's Saturday, August 27, 2022. Saturday. Yes, sirs. I'm a little happy with this particular episode because this is bragging rights on the border issue. I stated this yesterday on my audio only podcast off of Anchor.fm. This is concerning three particular articles, and I just cut down to the basics of them, and went on with this stuff that I've been. It's mostly talking about what I've been talking about. So this is a little bit of bragging rights going on. We're going to start off with the first one. Border Patrol opens gate locked by Texas National Guard to allow illegal immigrants to enter. Ironically enough, that did catch my attention. Instead of making it outrage like the way the article was supposed to make you feel, because it's from Fox News, foxnews.com. Here's what I caught out of the entire article of the outrageousness and Biden and blah, 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 blah. On last Wednesday, August 17 of 2022, Border Patrol agents opened a gate on a private property that was along the border, allowed the migrants to get through to be processed into U.S. immigration system. That caught my attention quick, because technically that's what the Border Patrol is supposed to do with immigrants that come across the border, whether they're permitted to or not. While some are returning under the still ongoing Title 42 Public Health Code, health order, the majority of migrants are released into the U.S. for their immigration hearings, which could take years. Unfortunately, that's the only unfortunate part. It's a slow process. Now, Title 42 is still ongoing. I still don't approve of it, just simply because once the migrants come in, they're usually quarantined once they're caught with some kind of virus, or Omicron or COVID of any sort. Once they're caught with some kind of disease, they're immediately quarantined. So instead of sending the infected people back across the border, where chances are the person could actually die depending on the severity of the condition that migrant is, instead they're immediately quarantined and taken care of accordingly. And why not? There's still a lot of people that believe that the COVID is a hoax, and they don't get their shots. Unlike somebody like me, where I'm used to immunization shots, flu shots. I'm used to immunity shots and all this good stuff. My body loves it and can handle it, no problem. So a lot of people out there that don't do it, well, that's a lot of shots that's not being used. So yeah, they should be given to Customs and Border Patrol agency that handles it accordingly. But yeah, this scandal of doing the puppet thing and all this stuff for being Biden's puppets and all that, no, that's a 100% lie. Being processed is what the migrants are supposed to be doing, once into the hands, once apprehended by Customs and Border Patrol, including the agencies and volunteer organizations that do that as well as part of their jobs. Okay, moving on. Texas Border Patrol agents meet with HHS, that's Health and Human Services Secretary Mayorkas, who blasts Governor Greg Abbott border actions. Keywords: wreak havoc. Okay. This is on Thursday of this earlier this week. The secretary's visits come after a sit-down with San Antonio Express News, in which he criticized Abbott for ramping up the Texas Department of Public Safety officers at the border for inspections, claiming when we work with DPS in coordination with DPS, there are tremendous assistance to us. When state officials work unilaterally and do not coordinate to collaborate with us, it can actually wreak havoc. And he's got a point. He's not lying, whether or not. I've been stating for first big props to Mayorkas for coming down to San Antonio, one of the places that is a sanctuary city, and blasting whatever Governor Greg Abbott has done. Governor Greg Abbott comes over, looks at the facility and says, hey, there's a bunch of child rape down here. This should immediately be shut down. Okay? And that's just a bunch of BS. Mayorkas, somebody that's in D.C., comes all the way down here and blasts Governor Abbott for the bull crap that he's done, especially here in San Antonio. Man, hey, respect, love you, thank you so much. This second part, and I'm going to skip the other part right here where it says, when the state officials, meaning Abbott, work unilaterally and do not coordinate and collaborate with us, it can actually wreak havoc. And he's got a point. In April 14th of this year, I had complained about how the babbling bullcrap goes with law enforcement being taken off of duties of law enforcement to go to the border truck stops, and check tire gauges, and to make sure that every vehicle that comes in the U.S. has their proper fluids, and all this stuff. That's an auto gas jockey task, okay? And that's if there's any gas stations jobs available anywhere anymore. In this day and age, it's very hard to actually find something like that. But even if it isn't, the simple fact that my Texas governor is appointing law enforcement, such as the Texas Department of Public Safety, to be nothing but gas jockeys at border truck stops and border stations, it's messed up, because they're doing everything except looking for migrants to recover, or if not plain out rescue, and take responsibility of by apprehending them. Okay. Mayorkas, when we work with DPS, coordinate with DPS, there are of tremendous assistance to the U.S. That's true. Because as I stated throughout the course of this time, there's file footage. You can look it up for yourself, like vehicles slowing down at least while migrants are jumping out of the moving vehicle, and the cops still, like, they're apprehending, they're catching those poor migrants that had to jump out of the moving vehicle, but they're also apprehending the traffickers and the human traffickers and the smugglers. There was a platform that was placed underneath a trailer where if you pried off the boards of that cargo trailer, you'd see that platform had 8 migrants lying sardine styled on that platform that was attached underneath the trailer that the truck would pull. It'd be like an ordinary, pickup truck pulling a trailer that's supposed to have cargo on it, or whatever. Should they be landscapers or delivery, package delivery, independent package delivery or contract deliverers, and they'd wind up getting pulled over because of the simple fact that there's a platform that was attached underneath the trailer. And so when they where they laid down all the migrants that they were trafficking, stuff like that. I'm not making any of this up. There's file footage of this. You can see for yourself. But see, that's what happens. Capturing these people is what happens when you let law enforcement be law enforcement. When you let them do their jobs and not have them doing stuff like guarding caged children in holding facilities. And I'm referring to the migration of minors that came through, and the only thing they had to look forward to was a cage to be held in. No bedding, no hospitality, no nothing. 1 meal a day, 1 trip to the bathroom a day. We're talking some pretty nasty shit, almost like animals, treating them just like animals. But yeah, Texas DPS, Texas Border Patrol, law enforcement, state troopers, they were all assigned those duties at some point or another. Even the Texas National Guard, they were all assigned the responsibilities of just, being cruel to these children that were in caged confinements, lights on, so they couldn't even get a decent amount of sleep, one meal a day, so they weren't fully nourished, one trip to the bathroom, so they were very, very uncomfortable, so to say. And then to top it all off, under chilling environments, the AC was always on, so they were always freezing. Okay. And then to top it all off, in some cases, not just here in Texas, but as far as Arizona, getting caught on surveillance, manhandling the children and other adult captives, manhandling, beating them up. And along with that, even though they were not caught on surveillance, if you kept reading into the abuses of them, you'd find out there were some sexual trespasses being done against them. Even the children. Okay? So, back to this statement right here, where Mayorkas comes down to San Antonio, criticizes Abbott, starts talking about how the DPS, the Border Patrol, National Guard should all coordinate and collaborate with each other in order to get this stuff organized and done. And obviously he also means the voluntary organizations, the National Association of Christian Churches. And I'd like to apologize for those that heard me on the audio version yesterday. I kept mispronouncing them, and I do apologize for that. But it was the National Association of Christian Churches, SOS1, Southwest Key Estrella, and there might be one more that I can't remember right now. But those were organizations with scandals from the old days, back when Obama was in charge, all the way up to Trump in 2018. Mishandlings, abuses, and sexual trespasses of these migrants, all the way down to children, were conducted during that 10-year time span. Here we are in 2022. We've got the opportunity to get this stuff right. They have the opportunity to redeem themselves from hiring these douchebags that were committing these trespasses, including the ones that were seeing the deals from the smugglers that were literally walking up. They got caught, don't get me wrong, they got arrested, but they literally went up to these volunteer places saying, hey, I still need to get paid. You know, they paid to be traveled across the border. I'm supposed to get paid for taking them to their final destination, whether it be over in Cali or Colorado or in New York or Florida, whatever the case, I'm supposed to still be paid. Now, thankfully, those douchebags got arrested. They still got arrested and everything. But that's also what takes place when those organizations and these government agencies, in collaboration with law enforcement, when they all collaborate together, people are saved. Douchebags are arrested. Traffickers and smugglers, they're being arrested. You know, trafficked is being recovered, and if not completely rescued and rehabilitated. And I'll get to that in a moment. But this is exactly what, because that's also part of my bragging rights. This is what also Mayorkas was talking about. When collaboration and coordination, it works, it's a tremendous assistance to the U.S. And if not, it's an actual wreak of havoc. And it's just wrong. Mayorkas had conceded that smuggling operations had gotten more, going back to the article, had gotten more sophisticated in recent decades, and addresses the issue would require international collaboration. Now that's also very important, because I can't remember which post I said when I researched him. He was talking about how 30 years ago everybody was a little bit more rudimentary. You can actually figure them out. You could see what they were doing. Later on, with code and stuff like that, and the internet and all this good stuff, advertisements that are finally deciphered, you know, a 4-year-old car likes to be ridden, needs a buyer, you know, in reference of a 4-year-old up for sale. You figure out the rest of that article. That kind of advertisement had to be deciphered throughout the past 30 years. And it wound up becoming, obvious now. And this is exactly what Mayorkas was talking about, going back to him, coming out of criminal history, coming back to what Mayorkas was saying. You know, they were a little bit more rudimentary back then when he first started. They're now easier to ascertain. They were very easy to ascertain. They're now a little bit more creative and far less easier to ascertain, using sophisticated means and stuff in order to get the underground business done. And Mayorkas is claiming that, well, since they've stepped up their game, the U.S. and other international countries that involve this kind of stuff should step up their game as well. One of those things is collaboration, the hand-in-hand workings of annihilating these traffickers and businesses that lead up to $100 billion a year of underground dirty money. You see what I'm saying? So he makes a very good point with that. He's conceded human smuggling operations have gotten more sophisticated in recent decades, and addresses the issue would require international collaboration. I have to agree after looking into that stuff. And I'm not a journalist. I can't get any specific hardcore cases. I'm just going through article after article, interview after interview, testimonial after testimonial of victims and cops and law enforcement and agencies and stuff, all who have written testimony or written a book or have done an interview. That sort of opens my eyes to seeing this ugly world in the criminal element, leading up to a very, very big necessity of having a collaboration with law enforcement all the way up to the government agencies, and in collaboration with other countries in that exact manner. I'd imagine it would put a huge dent to the human trafficking in particular issues. Okay, carrying on. The U.S. authorities have stopped migrants 143 million times at the border from January through July of this year. That's up 28% from the same time last year. From the same time period last year. Many are released on humanitarian parole or with notices to appear in immigration court. Standard proper procedures, don't get me wrong. That's what they have to go through. Now, as I've stated in the earlier, migrants released into U.S. for their immigration hearings, which could take years. Okay, so it's a slow process, which leads to an entirely different aspect where migrants who are waiting for their hearings can sometimes disappear off the face of the earth. And they're unprotected and all this stuff. They got no identity and everything anyway. So it's very easy to be abducted. Now, that aside, that's a part of criminal history. Going back to this procedure, it's proper procedure where they are released on humanitarian parole and given notices to appear in immigration court. We're not talking about criminals. We're talking about asylum seekers. We're talking about those that need to change for a better life, especially after getting kicked out of their own home country, such as in Argentina and other parts of South America and Central America. Moving on, because I'm also running out of time. Same thing that happened on Thursday of this week, earlier this week. Texas stash house holdings dozens of immigrants in dire conditions discovered near Mexico border. This was over in El Paso. I am so jealous. El Paso is getting this kind of stuff done while the rest of us here has to suffer Greg Abbott and his bullcrap Operation Lone Star crap. In El Paso, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, discovered 29 immigrants in a stash house with no working air conditioning in El Paso, I might remind you, the desert city, in the desert part of West Texas. No working AC, no stove, no fridge, no working bathroom. Okay, there wasn't even any plumbing, so they had to deal with whatever they had released. The 29 migrants consisted of 12 Mexicans, 8 Ecuadorians, 7 Guatemalans, 1 Honduran, 1 El Salvadoran, 24 men, 5 women, ages ranging from 18 to 42, all turned over to Border Patrol for processing. And this is part of the bragging rights that I get to state. Again, when you let law enforcement be law enforcement, you get 29 migrants discovered, recovered, rescued, if not completely rehabilitated, while they're getting processed to make this transition from immigrant to citizen. And this is again in El Paso, where 70 children back in May, just 3 months earlier, 70 children wound up getting recovered and rescued and then sent to rehabilitation processes after being trafficked and kidnapped from various places of south of the border. And to top it all off, were recovered and rescued as far south as south of the border in Juarez, into El Paso, as far north as Dallas, and as far outside of Dallas, out of Texas, into Colorado. I forgot which town it was, but it was a town in Colorado. That wide berth, that wide span berth of rescues done by a couple of agencies out of El Paso, okay? Here in the rest of Texas, we've got people getting pulled over for misdemeanor, having to face felony charges, and that being recorded under Operation Lone Star, which is the program that was designed to keep us safe at the border, okay? You got people getting hit all over the state of Texas, with the exception of El Paso, that doesn't use Operation Lone Star. None of its fundings, none of the officers, none of the people that are in charge out of the district that are under Operation Lone Star. Okay, you got guys being made up. You got cops and law enforcement making up criminals. Okay, no rescues, no recovers, no discovers, no nothing. Made up criminals, conjured up. One woman, 250 miles inside of Texas, in a town where she got pulled over for busted taillight. The cops searched the car, no reason of suspicions, just other than to search, found 1 loose leaf of marijuana. 1 loose leaf. Something that weighed 0.07 grams. Okay? 0.07th of a gram. And she faced felony charges as an illegal immigrant, alien drug trafficker. Okay? She was an American, to top it off. She wasn't even a Latina. She was a white woman. And she got labeled a felony. She got labeled a felon. Okay? This is the crap that law enforcement is doing under Operation Lone Star. They're not crime busting. There's nothing cops and robbers about them. What they're doing is making up criminals and saying, see, we're making everybody safer. Give us some more checks. Abbott, who's suing the government, writing out more checks for these cops and the districts and the deputies and the judges and everybody that's along with his administration. They're rulers of their counties and they're politicians of their county, political leaders, and they're getting money while cops, just for cops to make criminals out of innocent people. Okay? So when you got stuff like that going on, you bet your ass I'm going to come up here on YouTube, on my podcast, with bragging rights. 29 migrants recovered and rescued out of a stash house in El Paso in Texas, my home state of Texas, under these horrible conditions, and coming from 5 different countries. Okay? Rescued from age 18 to 42. Okay? 3 months after 70 children were rescued and recovered and sent straight to rehabilitation processes. This is what happens when you get law enforcement not being Abbott's stooge, Governor Greg Abbott's stooge, Gestapo Greg. This is what happens when he stops pulling the strings and making them their puppets, their lapdogs, their little bitches. This is what happens when law enforcement is actually being law enforcement. Crime busters, organization busters. They're knocking out human traffickers. They're rescuing people. That's the cool shit that you get when they're actually being law enforcement and not these douchebags assigned by Greg Abbott or anybody that follows Greg Abbott for free checks. And it's not even free. It's lawsuit money being awarded to them under the current Biden administration's infrastructure program. Okay? Something that's supposed to be for our roads, our highways, and yes, even though we don't like it, for our border wall. Something that is not only not being done, it's not being worked on, it's not being completed, the parts that are done, it's not being picked up off the ground, the parts that fell at 1 year after being completed. It's not being worked on at all. Okay? When you got something like that, that's lawsuit abuse of some sort. And again, I can't name it because, again, I'm just a rideshare driver with a GED is an only proof of a certified education. So please pardon me for not getting the correct legal term, governmental phrase that needs to be said. Okay, I do apologize for that. But even this GED rideshare driver can see the bull crap that's going on. Possibly illegal, more than likely run through some runaround gray area in the law, in the law books, that's being taken total advantage of, as to why Greg Abbott is getting all these millions of dollars, distributing hundreds of thousands of dollars to every single county that is on his side, and not living up to what it's supposed to live for, the border wall, which is exactly what he has in writing when he does these lawsuits. And that's coming from me, the guy that's doing this on his lunch break, sharing no differently, talking information with you, the person that I'd normally be talking to with at the bus stop or in the break room or at a barbecue. I'd be dropping this knowledge onto all of y'all with no differently than with anybody that I sit around at a restaurant while waiting for the next while waiting for the main fight, the main title fight, the main MMA title fight to start. This is coming from me. This is coming from that kind of person. And I could see this crap. So I know you can also, you on the other side of this screen here. But again, this is also the bragging rights that I'm talking about. I'm hoping that Beto does win. To see that kind of stuff take place, where he's the mayor of El Paso, letting law enforcement just be law enforcement, doing this crime buster shit, doing this fucking, rescuing shit, doing all of this stuff that just makes you feel proud American, makes you feel proud Texan, letting him run the state the way it's supposed to be run, as opposed to this money hustle horse shit that my current governor is doing, and again, you want to know what I'm talking about as far as suing for money, distributing the wealth to his people. By all means, check out the migrant border BS, the immigration border BS, his emergency disaster declaration BS. I talk thoroughly about this stuff. Again and again, for those that have been listening to my stuff since last year, when I first started pointing this stuff out, this is the same old stuff. Yeah, but if they stop to think about it, when I review my videos, there's a lot of the times where I'm just not sure. I'm guesstimating that this is how it goes. But as I go more and more, the proof is actually there, even without it being pointed out. There's more than enough cause to see that what I'm talking about is correct, as opposed to when I first started in 2021, where it was still a guesstimation based off of theories, criminal theories, judicial hearings, theories, courts that have taken place concerning businesses and fraudulent stuff and all this good stuff, versus the government, versus the courts, versus the people. Those were all more or less guesses back then in 2021. Now it's started to become verifiably true, despite the fact that there's no confession, that there's no government agency exposing the truth yet. This is the money that was swindled over to here, that was hustled to that was distributed here, and all this stuff. There's no revealings of them only, those at the top getting portions of that check, getting paid of those checks. That $700,000 to Kennedy County, that all for just picking up dead bodies, dead migrants that dehydrated while crossing the border. Not arresting anybody, not rescuing anybody, obviously, but they're getting $700,000. They got $700,000 last year. And they came out on the news once again saying, well, Greg Abbott, we could really use some more fundings because we can't afford to maintain over here. If we do an autopsy on these bodies, so you just have to take our word for it, they died by dehydration. If we have to do an autopsy, the prices skyrocket. So we need more funding, Greg Abbott. They said this on the news. They said this on the news, and I forgot which article that was, but it was. You can actually YouTube it. You can actually YouTube it, where some guy was requesting. It's out of Kennedy County, and it was $700,000. Okay, it was $700,000 that county was rewarded to pick up dead bodies, non-autopsied. So we have to take their word for it that they were already dead when they found them. I'm not making any of this up, man. This is all, this is all fact. These are articles, people that came out willingly to the media to make their claim. And these are the people here outside of El Paso, where all are running under Operation Lone Star, the disaster declaration, and all this other stuff that Greg Abbott himself is appointing and weaseling in it. And why not? Despite the fact that it's coming down to a lowly little Uber driver that's finding all this out. Why not? Nothing is stopping him right now. Nothing is stopping him from carrying on with this swindle that he's doing. And every single one of his people that have had their hand out to grab that money, I have no earthly idea as to whether or not the citizens are getting any of that. But nevertheless, I seriously doubt it. I think it's going only to the appointees and political leaders. But even if they are getting it, those are people that are following those political leaders who are on the same side as Abbott, who is doing nothing but swindling and not handling the border or immigrant problems that they claim is overwhelming, that they claim is an invasion. And that trips me out the most. An invasion. Because you take a look at any of these declarations, none of them are showing property damage. None of them are showing burnt crops. None of them are showing slaughtered cattle. None of them are showing burnt barns. None of them are showing destroyed homes. None of them are showing dead fathers and sons. None of them are showing crying sexually trespassed and murder raped women and children, mothers and daughters. None of them are showing any of that. None of them are showing a shot dead dog. None of them are showing a stabbed dead cat, a skinned dead cat. None of them are showing an Ozzy Osbourne styled killing of the parakeet that's inside the house, the parrot. Nobody's bitten any of their heads off. What invasion are you talking about, dude? What invasion are you talking about? Especially the political leaders up there, or down there, I should say, down at the border towns. Especially the political leaders up at the Capitol. What invasion are you talking about? What invasion? Nobody's dying. McKinney County has 8 deputies. And according to them, only 8 deputies. There's no cops. There's no government agencies. They're not near an Air Force base or a military base. There's nothing out there but 8 deputies. If there was an invasion, why aren't those 8 deputies dead? How are they still alive? If there was an invasion. Where's the bullet wounds? Where's the Medal of Honor for fighting those Mexicans, or immigrants rather, what you'll call dirty Mexicans regardless of whatever country they come from. They could be Ukrainian and Russian defectors, Ukrainian immigrants and Russian defectors. They're still damn dirty Mexicans, whatever it is that you call damn dirty Mexicans. Where's the Medal of Honor for those cops that have fought off those damn dirty Mexicans? Where's the war? What invasion are you talking about? That trips me up the most. And get this, the majority of my state believes this crap. The majority of my state. Greg Abbott has a sure chance of keeping his political power, along with Dan Patrick, along with Ted Cruz. Everybody that's on that side has the chance of ascertaining and keeping their political power and maintaining, because the majority of my state believes they're babbling bull crap. There's an invasion. They're overwhelmed. There's this, that, and this, and you got to take our word for it. We can't do autopsies on these dead bodies that we're picking up, but trust me, they're dead. They were already dead. The majority of the Texas believes this shit. So when I see 29 migrants rescued, just 3 months after 70 kids rescued, abducted children, when I see this kind of stuff going on, when I see Mayorkas coming down and saying, hey, this stuff is to stop, man. When I see Biden saying that crap, hell yeah, I'm going to boast about it. It's like, dude, do it. Do something about it, man. Do something about it, because, as far as we can do here as ordinary citizens, all we can do is just vote out the douchebag. And that's if we can win, the popular vote, or, whatever, if we can outvote him. But it's very difficult to do that when you guys are sitting on when the higher ups are sitting on their hands, not knowing how to attack this manner. The complications, because they've got solutions. They've got solutions. They've used everything from volunteers up to the National Guard in various places where wildfires hit, floods hit, droughts have hit, even immigration here in Texas. Because this is far back, there was 100,000 El Salvadorians that came here once. And we set up shop. We took care of business. We took care of them. We took care of business. They got the processes done. The criminals that were doing nothing but bullshit down there, doing it up here, they got arrested. Unfortunately, they got deported instead of incarceration. But that's policies of a different kind. And stuff got done. We've been handling hordes of migrants as far back as the 2016, I think, 100,000 migrants from El Salvador, okay? enough. We're here at 2022. 6 years has gone by, and we technically, America can still hold it down. But these complications done by Governor Greg Abbott and the governor over there in Arizona, Ducey, I forgot his name, but the governors currently are just messing everything up, and they're doing this with stuff that falls borderline hate, which is appealing to people of hate, which unfortunately here in Texas influences the majority of Texas, and ergo keeps Abbott in power. So it's only going so far. But right now, you guys are stepping up, and that's good. Keep on stepping up. Mayorkas, Biden, Beto, everybody has to keep putting the pressure on this and keep exposing. One of the biggest things that you can do is expose, and that's coming from me, because that I can say that in my testimony, because like I said, I'm just a rideshare driver. I have no sway on anybody. I can debate with people that come across my ride. Sure. I can debate with people that say, no, it's a bunch of BS and all this stuff. And I can say, well, no, not really. I can debate with my rideshare requesters. But that's about it. I can't tell them who to vote for. And I can't influence them to vote as well. Most of them have already made up their mind, especially those who are believing that Biden is destroying America and all this other garbage, which was strange, because when Trump was around doing all of these deregulations and sinking us into trillions of debt, everybody was saying it's the homosexuals that's destroying America. It's cancel culture. It's BLM. It was everything under the sun except the ones that was providing deregulations and budget cuts and all this stuff. It doesn't get any more obvious as to where their loyalties lie, and that is the fact that it's not on the side of America. It doesn't take a brain to see this. We got 29 migrants just 3 months after 70 kids rescued. We got when this is what happens when you don't go along with people like Greg Abbott and the political leaders who are on his side. When you stop looking at them, what's there left to look at? Stuff that's going on in El Paso is what's to look at. The cool ass shit that's going on in El Paso is what's good to look at. It's like there's some TJ Hooker guys on a local to federal level, just busting people left and right and rescuing the helpless, the trafficked, for Christ's sake. You got this going on. Why aren't we focused more on them? Well, we can't here in Texas. I hope everybody outside of Texas is looking at this, and I hope that I hope and pray that you guys keep reviewing and interviewing all of these guys that are doing these great deeds, not under the operations of Operation Lone Star, as sure as all hellfire exists, not under the command of Greg Abbott, who, as you now know, is doing nothing but lawsuit abuse and distributing the wealth amongst his people and not doing a goddamn thing. Not doing a darn thing. I got a curse in Texas. I forgot this is YouTube. Who's not doing a darn thing against in securing our border, and especially in not doing a damn thing in apprehending traffickers, but in turn creating criminals out of American citizens. And again, I'm not making any of this up. Look it up for yourself. Every single accusation, or not accusation, fact that I have pointed out. Look it up. See for yourself. I'm not lying. I wish I had a list. Next time, I promise, I'll try to create a list of everything that I'm pointing out. Okay? And as far as everybody else that's talking about the BS of the abuse of power, which is currently under the right, the conservative, and every administration concerning them, with the exception of one or two douchebags, Bill Clinton, who was a part of Jeffrey Epstein's island, along with Trump, before he revealed himself to be a Republican and all this other stuff, back when he was just a businessman. Most of the stuff that's being done is being done on the right, and any little thing that's being done by the left is one guy, and is under, which just, all the people that are on the right side are saying, oh, look at what the left is doing, while trying to make you not see the tremendous shit that they're not doing, the tremendous poppycock that they're not doing. So yeah, big props go to these guys. Biden's student relief plan, there's a bunch of people that are defending this. There's a lot of people that are defending it, but saying it could be better. Oof, that pisses me off more than the ones that are saying it's completely hopeless, it's worthless, it's not worth a damn, it's nothing good is going to come out of it. The worst ones are the ones that say Biden did good but could have done better. Those assholes are douchebags, because we've had all this time, from as far back as when Obama was in charge, trying to create student relief. Yeah, in fact, I think he was one of the few that actually did start it. But he, as far back as that, everybody has always said it could be better. But nobody, especially once in charge, actually did anything about it, much less make it better. Okay? All of y'all can go suck an egg for spitting on this student relief thing. It's not perfect. Hardly anything ever is. However, you who say it could have been better are jackasses, okay? You're just downright jackasses. And you shouldn't be allowed to be heard if that's all you're gonna do is be a jackass. Okay? Trump's scandals, Mar-a-Lago, the voter thing, telling people to make up the voter election steal thing, to support the Stop the Steal by making up lies, and every other scandals, the sex scandal. He still needs to be looked at for being in league with Epstein, because he took advantage of it. He still needs to be investigated for that. I don't know how he's dodging him so well. I guess because of other people that can testify that he was there are not saying anything. That's, as far as I could tell, the only reason why. I don't believe that he wasn't there. I believe that he was there. I believe that he participated. But that aside, going over to the scandals, going over to the files in Mar-a-Lago, big props go to everybody out there who's taking these shots as best as they can and trying to reveal how this is, what the crime busters are doing that are supposed to be legitimate crime busting, and big props go to everybody that's covering it. They don't know the outcome of this. Nobody knows the outcome of this. He might actually get away with walking off with nuclear codes based off of some technicality. It's how we avoided the collusion by using collusion for what is it, tit for tat accusation. Okay. He's been getting off of dodging all these problems off of these minor decals. He could have walked off with nuclear codes up for sale, if not just at risk of being stolen. Okay? He could actually have been Putin's bitch and receive a big reward for turning in nuclear codes. That's the worst case scenario, obviously, but nevertheless, it's a possibility. Is it proof? We don't know. I sure as hell don't. Hence the reason why I'm not posting so many posts out there. I'm talking about the border shit. I'm talking about border and immigration problems. I'm not touching this one. So big props, Brian Tyler Cohen, I think, is one of the Bo of the Fifth Column, Dollar More Daily, the Young Turks even. Everybody's trying to tackle that situation. Nobody has any clear answer as to whether or not justice will be served. because he either didn't do it or he did, but he's off of some kind of technicality, you know. And get this, the possibilities of everything in between those two are more than likely. It can go any which way. So big props go to everybody that's covering that. Big props to everybody that's going to covering the war. We're all exhausted with the war of Russia and Ukraine. I thought Ukraine joined NATO. Shouldn't every country be participating in planting military bases along the edges, telling Russia to piss off? Shouldn't that already be done by now? But no, man. I mean, it's still we all saw some grain being shipped out, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank God, everything's okay now." No, it's not. There's a nuclear plant, a power plant that's at risk of blowing up. You know. Big props go to the people that are covering that stuff, because it's just this one messed up thing after another, and it's prolonged. We know who the guilty party is. You know, we know who the innocent that needs to be defended are. You know, I mean, come on. Big props that are still covering the social issues in reference to the banned books and the CRT. Okay? I want to know, what book are they talking about that's a pictorial color book that's put in elementary schools that said, go ahead and suck that dick. Excuse me, sorry. Go ahead and give oral. I want to know, what book is that? What book is that? Is that real? No, it's not real. You know, it's politicians that are too lazy to organize and regulate. Back in my day, we read a book about two teenagers that did it, despite the fact that they belonged to two hate families that were at war with each other. Each of them belonged to a hate family. And then because they couldn't keep each other, they killed themselves. It was called Romeo and Juliet. Now, don't get me wrong. Shakespeare was an innovative writer back then. You know, nobody was writing anything so conflicting, you know, and controversial. You know, nobody was writing anything like that back then. So, of course, props go to him. But it was still regulated to where we were not reading about them doing it and then killing each other when they realized they couldn't live with each other. It wasn't being done in elementary. It was being done in high school. You know, the latter half of high school, for crying out loud. When we had college to look forward to. Or a career. To start a career to look forward to. We're getting set up for a career. You know, I want to know what the hell they're talking about. What are these people talking about? Influencing people to hate white people. What are you talking about? No Anne Frank. Dude, Anne Frank happened when non-whites were being hated by white people. You want to include where it's vice versa? Sure. Talk about the Somalian conflicts. A lot of white people were being killed. You know, they made many movies of it, like Hotel Rwanda and stuff. There was a lot of white people getting killed in Africa. You know, talk about that. But keep it out of elementary schools, obviously. Who the hell has authorized that crap in an elementary school? What moron did that? But see, it's a little bit and a lot of bit more complicated than the way I'm talking about it. Hence the reason why I'm giving big props to the journalists that are and activists that are tackling those issues. In my mind, it is just that plain simple. You regulate it and you fire, if not persecute, the douchebag or bags that put blood, sex, rape, violence, sexual promiscuity in the form of literature in the hands of children at an elementary school. You know, it's just that plain and simple to somebody like me. Obviously, there's going to be some complications to it. You know, it's not that simple. You know, how are you going to explain Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn? You know, there was a couple of instances where the boys were actually fighting. You know, there were rocks thrown at each other. These days, it can, you know, kids are strong. They're nowhere near the pre-vaccinated, multivitamin Flintstones, multivitamins days back in the 1800s. You could throw a rock at somebody and it'll bounce off of the other kid. You know, these days you could create a concussion, a brain hemorrhage, you know, a punctured lung, a kidney problem, a bruised kidney. That's how strong the youth are these days. So, yeah, I mean, you got to be careful and you got to regulate and all this good stuff. And as far as I'm concerned, as a guy that has to work for a living, these guys are nothing but lazy bitches. You know, and I'm not apologizing for that being on YouTube. They're just lazy bitches that don't want to do the regulation work that comes with it. That comes with their damn jobs. Their darn jobs. Or whatever. You know? So yeah, big props go to, that's the reason why I'm sticking to the Border Patrol, border crisis, immigration and stuff. Debunking the invasion. Speaking as a third person here in the middle of Texas that takes drives to border towns, Ubering people to their family get-togethers to the border towns. There's no invasion. Everybody still got their crops. Everybody still got their ranches. You know, there's no burnt barns. There's no dead farmers hanging off of a tree. There's no bodies of violated mothers and daughters on the ground. You know, there's no slaughtered kids. There's nothing like that going on. There's no invasion. You know, that's why I'm speaking. That's why I'm letting y'all know here in San Antonio. And I want everybody, I still wish everybody out there, whoever's on the other side, whoever you are on the other side of the screen, if you're in Wisconsin, if you're in Florida, if you're in Alabama, if you're in New Mexico, if you're in Washington, expose this crap that's going on your end of the block, okay? Like the way I'm doing here. Please, because this kind of stuff really needs to be exposed. The bull crap really needs to be exposed, okay? And especially here in Texas, whatever side of Texas you're on, please expose the bull crap, because as you can clearly see, article after article, news thing after news thing, declaration after declaration, you know, you can clearly see who's hustling and swindling and doing absolutely nothing, not a darn thing, pertaining to their job. And you can see those that actually are. You know, please keep posting videos. Please find me. Mine is called Chris's Comments. You know, so you can't use that, but you can definitely do your own comments or opinions if your name is Oliver or Olivia. You know, if your name is Chris, think of something else. I don't know. This Chris's Comments. That Chris's Comments, you know, whatever. Mr. Chris, whatever. But post that, build a site, build a podcast. You know, I also do an audio only podcast. It's off of Anchor Podcast. It's in coalition with Spotify. So my stuff is being transmitted to Spotify if and when it, you know, I don't know how well it's doing. I never really read the monetizations, just simply because I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it to voice my opinion. I don't have merchandise to sell. I don't have any shirts. The only thing that I could tell that if you really like what you're doing is just give me a thumbs up, you know. But I prefer to read your comments. I prefer to see for myself that I'm not alone in this, and that I see this kind of crap that's going on, you know. But if all you want to do is just give a thumbs up, fine, give a thumbs up. I'm content with that also. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not doing anything like that. Big props to those who are. Even I want a couple of Dollar More Daily shirts. Even I want a couple of Brandon Tyler Cohen shirts. They've got these really cool shirts as the time goes by concerning certain issues. Some of them can actually be priceless. Some of them would actually be identifiable with the actual issue at hand concerning the times. Because these are not going to change. These times are not going to be the same. These problems aren't going to be the same. They're going to change throughout the course of time. So, big props go to them. Support them. Buy their merchandise. I'll be joining you as soon as I can. As soon as I can get out of my debt. During the inflation, I wound up falling behind on some payments. So I've got a little bit of ways to go. And the only reason why you don't see me in any other shirt other than these black shirts, because I sort of wear it like a uniform while I'm working. That's the only reason why you keep seeing me wearing the same colored shirts, the same colored collared shirts and stuff, aside from that, y'all stay cool, y'all stay care, keep supporting everybody that's standing up to this babbling bull crap that our political leaders are trying to get away with. That really has us all saying enough is enough. Keep supporting those people. They're doing actual journalistic reportings, by the way. I'm just the guy that's doing this on his lunch break. Okay. Again, I'm the guy at your get-togethers. I'm the guy at the bus stop, entertaining you at the bus stop instead of being bored out of your damn minds, waiting for the damn bus. I'm that guy, So keep supporting them. Help out yourselves. Voice your concerns. Do you open up a podcast of your own? It's really not that bad. Even just venting like this is not bad. If you can make money off of it, cool. Start printing your shirts. I got a cousin that actually does shirts and stuff like that. I just don't know how to do it on this on the internet with the YouTube or the podcast. I'm sorry, podcast methods. One day I'll figure it out. For right now, I'm working for a living, no different than the rest of you out here in America. So this is Chris with Chris's Comments, bragging rights, and rightfully so. Everything I've said is being slowly but surely proven to be correct, and I am 100% happy. The current governor is worthless. People that are not working with him are kick-ass, and we're starting to see a unification of those kick-asses with the governors, with the government agencies, all the way up to the presidential administration. And now all I got to do is just sit and wait for them to actually get into action and start working, start making this stuff real, or actually happening. So yeah, y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. I'm very surprised that I've put in over 60 minutes into this. I'm usually very much on a timetable. I guess I've got some restored data or something. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. It is Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. And like I said with the last post, whether it be on YouTube or over on the podcast, audio only podcast, where you don't have to look at this. Take care of each other, and remember, like in my old days, when you went to a public area on a hot summer night, a guy with the raincoat or the trench coat was the guy with the gun that he's about to whip out and start shooting people. Okay, now that hasn't existed in quite a while, and most of these shootings have been done from a distance. But still, nevertheless, be aware of your surroundings, and always use the buddy system, because I know a lot of you out there, you're going out with friends, you're going out with family members. Just bring it up amongst each other, especially if you're the parents. Bring it up amongst each other. If we hear something, pop, 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 we know to get the kids and have them be calm. Tell them be calm, but we got to leave. It's an emergency. A little kid will understand that, even if he doesn't understand gun. Okay, that'll probably scare the kid into crying and all this stuff. Also, be aware of your surroundings. Look for places to duck and hide. I'm not saying do it. but just make note of it. Make note of it. Make note of it. Make note of that you're in an area, it's a long valley, and there's a guy that might be shooting down at you or shooting from that end of that pathway. Make sure that you know that you can break left or right, and with your kids and your wife, or with your buddies, your homegirls or your homeboys. Make sure that you can duck to one side, out of firing range. And if you have a loud enough voice, then shout out, gun, 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 and point in the direction that you hear it coming from, if it helps. Stay safe out there. Use the buddy system. We are not totally helpless. Okay? Be aware of your surroundings and make sure that you can find a place to duck, or at least stand behind. If there's pillars, like here, I'm underneath a highway. Anybody starts shooting at that bus stop down there, the bus transit where buses interchange and all this good stuff, I know I could just jump behind one of these pillars that's holding up the freeway above me. Make note of your surroundings. Okay? Keep having fun. It's Saturday. Keep having fun. Use those little rules of safety. It's no different than finding a bug in your beer, before you swallow it, before you drink it. Okay? So y'all take care, take it easy, and have a good one. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out. Oops.